Hello everyone, welcome to the third tutorial of CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate. In this session, we are going to discuss how to configure a router. I will show you the basic configuration of Cisco router. In previous session, we have discussed what is router and how it works and the hardware overview. We covered all the ports, components, everything about router in previous session. You can check the link in the description. Here we are using one simulation tool for networking using Cisco router. The Cisco Packet Tracer is a cross-platform visual simulation tool. You can download this tool from Cisco website. Check the link in description below. Our previous session we have discussed Cisco RV345 router. Here you can see in Cisco Packet Tracer, these are the routers available for demonstration. Here I am choosing one router 2621XM series. When pointing this router, you can see the device name by default is router 1 and the device model 2621XM and the host name router and the ports we have not yet configured here. Click on this router. You can see the real picture of the router here. Just zoom in and understand what are the ports available on this router. These are the Ethernet port, console port, auxiliary port and a toggle power switch. Here we can on or off our router device. And in menu bar you can see config tab, CLI and attributes. Here in config tab we can configure the router using this GUI interface. Here you can change the display name, host name, NVRAM, startup configuration, everything. I am not focusing on GUI configuration. Recently coming routers of Cisco are by default available with GUI configuration. So no need to worry about CLI. As a learner, we need to understand the CLI, command line interface. This is the command line interface of Cisco router. Just read the startup message for understanding. So I am giving no. Press enter. In command line interface, you can see router. This is the user mode of the router. There are three basic modes in router: user mode, privilege mode and configuration mode. The user mode is activate the terminal. For example, if you need to enter into the configuration level, first you need to access the router. So as a user, first you need to enter the user mode to activate the terminal. To activate the terminal, there is one command called enable and you enter into privilege mode. The privilege mode, user got the privilege to access the router, but he or she can see the previous configuration of router. Here we are not configured anything on this router, so we need to configure something. So we will enter into configuration mode. First we enter from user mode. Now we are in privilege mode. In privilege mode you can access all the previous configuration of the router, but it's a new router, so we have to configure. So we are entering to configuration mode. To enter configuration mode, execute the command configure terminal. You can enter conf and press tab. And for terminal, ter, press tab. See, ter, terminal. Now here you can read enter configuration commands one per line and with Ctrl Z. Now we are starting our basic configuration. Before going to basic configuration, I hope you guys understand what are the basic modes in the router. First one is user mode, second one is privilege mode, and the third one is configuration mode. In user mode, we can activate the terminal, and the privilege mode, we can check the previous or current configuration we have already done in our router. And in the configuration mode, we can configure our router. I am starting. Here you can see by default our router name is router. So we need to change as our business requirement. For example, I am changing the router name for identification. For changing the router name, now we need to change the host name of this router. So the command is hostname space miq root. Now the router name, the host name is changed to miq root. This is how we can change the host name of a router. If you want to change the router host name or you want to remove the router host name, you can execute the command no host name. Now the router host name is router. Now we will check how to set a password for your router. Execute the command enable password. Enable password. Here it is showing incomplete command. As you are understanding, I executed wrongly. The command syntax is enable password and provide the password. For example, I am giving enable password space provide the password. For example, I am giving miq123. This is not a strong password. For understanding, I am giving miq123. Press enter. Now the router password is enabled. Exit and check whether the password is set for this router. For exiting the current mode, you can enter exit. Now it is in privilege mode. Exit from privilege mode. Now it is in user mode. When you are trying to enter into privilege mode, it will ask for password. Enable. Now the password is set for this router. The password is miq123. Now it enters successfully into the privilege mode. So you learn how to set that password for your router. Now you are in privilege mode. You can check what are the configuration you have made in this router. For that, you have to execute the command show running config. Type sh and press tab. Running ru, press tab, enter. Here you can see we set the password for router. The password is miq123. Here it is showing the password. So for hackers and all, it is very easy to understand our password. So we need to encrypt that one. This enable password or entering to user mode of the router, we are setting this password. It is not encrypted. So we need to create a secret password. I will show you how to create a secret password. We need to set a secret password. So enter into configuration mode. Configuration terminal. Configure terminal. For assigning a secret password, you have to execute the command enable secret and the password. For example, I am giving miq321. Now we have set the password for this router and this encrypted. Now we can check the password. Exit from configuration mode. From privilege mode, run the command. From privilege mode, run the command show running config. Here you can see, first we set the password for our router, that is miq123. It is visible when we are accessing the router. So we created a secret password that is encrypted. A person who accesses this router cannot be read, or any hackers can attack or any hackers can't attack to this router. As of now, you understand how to change the host name and how to set the password for your router and how to set a secret password to encrypt the password. Next, we are going to set a password for your console port. If anyone is going to connect to console port of your router and he or she need to configure the router, the console password. So for the security purpose, we need to set a console password for our router console. For that, enter into configuration mode. Here for any configuration, we have to enter into configuration mode. The privilege mode is only for showing the current or previously stored configurations. So we are entering to configuration mode. Execute the command. Configure terminal. Now we are in configuration mode. Set up the console password. Enter the command line console 0. Now we enter into configuration of line console. So set the password. For setting the password, execute the command password space and your password. Here I am giving miq456. Press enter and check from the privilege mode. You can check from the privilege mode. So exit from this and run the command show running config. and now we are in configuration mode. So exit from the configuration mode. Yes, now we are in privilege mode. Here execute the command show running config. Here you can see we configured the console password miq456. Now I will tell you how to configure an auxiliary password for a router. First of all, you have to understand what is auxiliary port. You can see here physical device. Here is the port auxiliary. It is used to connect the modem in your router. In the previous tutorial, Cisco RV345 having no auxiliary port. No auxiliary port. This is one old series 2621. Here you can see the auxiliary port. So we will learn how to set a password for this auxiliary port. So enter to configuration mode. Configure terminal. Here you execute the command line aux space 0. Now we are going to configure a password for auxiliary port number 0. Set the password space, enter your password. Here I am giving MIQ987. Next, one more configuration is pending in the basics of router configuration, that is telnet configuration. We need to configure terminal password. It is required if anyone is accessing our router from a remote location. I will show you how to set a password for terminal. In configuration mode, you execute the command line vty space 0 space 3. Here the line vty indicates the telnet or terminal and the 0 indicate at a time. At a time, 3 persons can remotely connect to the router. Here you can change this digit to 4 or 5 according to your requirement. Now I am giving 4. So 4 people can access this router from remote location. Enter. Now set the password for this terminal. Password space, press enter your password. 645. Password MIQ654. Press enter. Now we configured auxiliary port password, terminal password for your router. Now we will check all the previously done configurations. Now go to privilege mode. From here execute the command show running config. Here you can see first we set a password for our router and we enable the secret password. After that we set password for our line console, for the console port, then auxiliary port. Finally we set password for telnet or terminal. That's all about today's session. Now we have done the basic configuration. But if the router is powered off or any restart is happened, all configuration will lose. We need to configure this again. Before happening anything like that, we need to save our configuration. As we discussed in our previous session, the current configuration is stored in RAM, that is volatile memory, random access memory. We need to move the configuration data to NVRAM, non-volatile memory. It will store the current configuration to startup configuration and is stored as permanent. So we will learn how to store the currently executed configuration to a permanent storage. That we will discuss on next video. Hope you guys understand today's session. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Please like. If you have any doubt, please comment below. Thank you for watching.